Yep, welcome back to SeaBed. Last time we started chapter 2, and as it turns out, who could have guessed, Nanae's mansion is the same as the one we've seen in the tips, and it's the same as the sanatorium that Takako is staying at in the previous chapter. Okay, so before I started this episode, I made a list of 8 things that I wanted to go back and check in my recording to verify some aspects of the story. And I actually remembered to do it this time. So I guess I can just go through those real quick. I didn't find much, honestly, but I'll just go through them. Number 1 was to see if I could find any example of Takako making food in the story, because in the previous chapter they mentioned that she didn't know how to make food, but I felt like I remember her making some food at some point. I went back to the story, I couldn't find any example of her ever making food. It was always Sachiko. There may have been an example of her like talking about making food. I didn't go that far deep. Like I didn't like look at every single line of dialogue. I just kind of skimmed through all the scenes. She never actually made food, but she may have talked about making food, and I just missed that. It's possible, but it seems like that was congruent, and she actually just doesn't know how to cook. Number 2 is the whole thing with the magnetic train card, because it was brought up in one of the office scenes, and then at the beginning of this chapter that we just saw, Sachiko had one when she was taking the train, and I thought that was an interesting detail, so I just went back to check when they talked about it in the office. I didn't really get much. It was just like Fumi talking about it, and Sachiko never made it clear in that scene whether she had one or not, so it's not like there was some contradiction there. It was just, I didn't really get much, honestly. Number 3 was the inconsistencies with how many times Narasaki has met Sachiko. I mean, this one's pretty clear. In the tips, it mentioned that Narasaki has met Sachiko like over and over, like multiple times. Like at least, I think she said like once every 2 years or so, since they've known each other. Because she keeps coming to the clinic. And that is just not at all. Because when Sachiko first met Narasaki in the coffee shop, she explicitly said that she hadn't met Narasaki since they were in elementary school. So that is just, I mean, obviously we know they also met at the funeral, but they have also met at some other times. If those 2 events are even like in the same timeline or whatever, I don't know if that's even something I can assume to be true, but yeah. Next was the whole notebook thing, because in the tips, in the last tip we saw, Narasaki was looking at a notebook that Sachiko had written, and the way it was described, I wondered if it was the same notebook that Takako was writing in the chapter from her POV when she was at the sanatorium, because she also had to write in a notebook there. I went back and checked, and it was inconclusive. The notebook really isn't described with enough detail to really say 100% whether it's the same notebook or not. All that was said was that it was a letter notebook, which is, and I'm not even sure if that was said from Takako's POV. I think it said it was a letter notebook in the tips, but in Takako's chapter, it didn't even describe the notebook at all from what I could see, so unclear. Next thing I checked was the car, because I wanted to see if Mayuko and Nanae were driving the same car, because obviously they're at the same building, but because the car in the background was also the same. This one is, I think so, but it's kind of unclear, because with Nanae, we had a CG of her in front of the car, with the car in the background, so it is definitely clear that that car is the car that she drove. But with Mayuko, it's kind of unclear, because all we see is the narration describes Mayuko arriving at the sanatorium in her car, and then we cut to a CG with the car in the background, and it's implied that that's the car she drove, but it's not 100% confirmed. She could have driven another car that is just off camera, right? Because unlike Nanae, we don't get a CG of her like in front of the car or whatever. So it's unconfirmed, but I think I'll just assume yes. It just seems like that's what they're trying to imply, that they were driving the same car. So I'm assuming yes. Next thing I wanted to check was the tree branch, because in Takako's chapter, Mayuko took a tree branch from a tree and put it in a vase in water in her room. And then in Sachiko, in the new chapter at the beginning, we saw that Nanae also had a branch in a vase in water in the entrance. So I just wanted to check if that was the same branch. It definitely isn't. Because in Takako's chapter, it was a camphor branch. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. It was a camphor branch. And in Sachiko's chapter, it was a camellia branch. So it's not the same type of branch. So it's not the same. It just, I guess it's a common detail, but it's not actually the same branch. Next thing I checked was the mansion's entrance. Because when we entered from Sachiko's POV, it was clearly like a hotel reception with like the carpet and like the reception desk and everything. So I wanted to see if in Takako's POV the entrance was different, or if it also looked like that. It's inconclusive because we never actually saw the entrance of the building from Takako's POV. Like there are scenes where she goes to the entrance, like when it starts raining and she goes in the building. It does mention her passing through the entrance, but it never actually describes what the entrance looks like, and we never actually see it. So for all we know, it could look like a hotel reception area, or it could not. We just don't know. And the last thing I checked was the whole thing with the clinic, because in the tips the clinic seems to be in the mansion, but then in Sachiko's chapter the clinic, from what I remembered, was like very clearly described to not be in a mansion. And I went back and checked, and yeah, like the clinic from Sachiko's POV is definitely not at all in the mansion. Here's word for word what Narasaki said about her own clinic before Sachiko went there. She said, "Our little clinic is hardly an establishment to brag about, really. There's a big hospital nearby, so we get very few people." The fact that she calls it a little clinic, and the fact that she says there's a big hospital nearby, like, that's clearly not the same clinic that is in the mansion, right? And also there's a scene, after the first time that Sachiko goes to the clinic, there's a very short scene where she leaves the clinic, and we actually get a background, like a background image of what the outside of the clinic looks like, and it just looks like a normal hospital. She says that there's like taxis nearby, and then she walks from the clinic to her office. So like clearly this clinic is not at a mansion at the top of a mountain, right? Clearly. Unless she went on a fucking like hiking trip to get to the clinic, but I don't think so. And also the whole thing with the cat, I went back to check that, and Narasaki said about the cat, she said, "I imagine it's walking along the fence behind the building." Along the fence behind the building. So clearly not the mansion. So I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure if there's two different clinics in the different parallel universes or something, or if there are two exact replicas of the clinic in the same world. Or maybe, you know what? Maybe Sachiko is just fucking crazy, and she's been in the mansion the whole time, and she's just hallucinating everything. What if when she goes to the library and she speaks to the librarian, in reality she's speaking to like Sanae? Maybe the librarian is just supposed to be Sanae with shorter hair. Who knows? Anyway, yeah, that's everything I checked. I didn't find much, honestly, but I did it. Okay, I think we can continue. This one, Pale Morning. Okay. Light filtered in through the window. Oh, wait. What are we gonna go with? Let's keep Sachiko on screen. Light filtered in through the window, painting the room in a pale bluish hue. Hang on. Okay. The windows seemed to have frosted over during the night. I could even spot a small icicle extending from the roof. The courtyard visible through the window was now blanketed in white. I heard the floor creak. A tiny bead of water traveled down the shaft of the icicle before soundlessly dropping to the ground below. The withered grass crunched like shaved ice under my feet. There was a small hill with a camphor tree in the center of the courtyard. A camphor tree. That was where the camphor branch was taken from, that Maiko had. Its branches extended from its trunk in complex patterns reminiscent of lightning, forming an awe-inspiring canopy that sparkled beautifully in the morning dew. A tranquil silence fell upon the area, giving the impression that the entire world had entered a deep slumber. The flower beds surrounding the hill had all withered in the morning sun. A gardening cart that had been forgotten nearby was half full of rainwater. I kept listening as the frosty air chilled my skin. One of the tree branches shuddered, sending drops of dew to the ground. I looked up and spotted a small bird with a long tail among the leaves. I continued listening. This time I heard a knocking sound. Again. Oh yeah, I forgot there was a whole deal with you like hearing a weird knocking sound while you were eating dinner with Nanae, right? And you kept ignoring it? That was weird. I stepped on the thin ice, making it crack under my feet. I stopped at a place just a little ways away from the courtyard. What is that? I looked up at the towering pole before me, its tip backdropped by a sky of light clouds. There was a pulley and a rope attached to said tip. Is it a flagpole? Another gust of wind swept across the frozen grounds, making the metallic parts attached to the rope hit against the wooden pole with a knocking sound. It looked like a flagpole, but I saw no trace of a flag anywhere. I spent a few moments looking at the noisy pole, trying to imagine what kind of flag it once bore, when I suddenly heard something else. It sounded like a person's voice coming from the main entrance of the mansion. I thought I heard Nanae laugh. Upon returning to the mansion, I came upon Nanae chatting with a couple of children riding bicycles. Children? I couldn't make out what they were talking about, but judging from her swaying shoulders, it seemed like Nanae found the conversation amusing. Today's the day I catch the River King, I swear. That's some confidence. The children all wore waist bags and backpacks. I could spot fishing rods poking out from some of them. I saw it just the other day. It was this big. I saw a bigger one. It was like this. You idiots, the king of the river can't be that small. It's gotta be at least this big. The children opened their arms wide, trying to show off how large a size they were thinking of. Don't forget to bring some for me, too. Huh? You think I'll let you keep your bicycle and use my river for free? That's dirty. You gotta play dirty now and then to survive in the world. Everyone gets an equal share then. With that, the children began pedaling their bicycles and rode off towards the wood. Oh, I'm having a guest right now, so don't forget her share either. Seriously? It was a mistake to stop here. And they sounded another one of her hearty laughs. Be careful out there. She waved the children goodbye. Good morning. Oh, good morning. And I looked behind her shoulders in response to my greeting. The kids from the town, apparently they plant a fish here today, said Nanae, noticing me stare at their receding backs. What were you talking about? Food. We might get some fresh fish for dinner tonight. I see. Provided they manage to catch anything, that is. You could have taught them how to make a bamboo net. That's a good idea, but those kids don't know when to stop, so... Nanae shrugged her shoulders. Do they come here a lot? Plenty of places to play around here. Mountains, rivers, lakes. This area is open to the public. We even have a library. Yeah, that was the same for the sanatorium, right? I'm pretty sure Sanae mentioned that the library was technically open to the public, even though no one really came. Huh. And I pointed at a building further in the distance. I see. That aside, what are you doing outside so early in the morning? Did something happen? No, I was just curious about something. And I glanced in the direction I came from. Oh, so you found out. Only because of this windy weather. Might have been a different story otherwise. I was planning to let you enjoy the mystery for a while longer. Damn this stupid wind, it ruined everything on the first day. Another breeze swept across the courtyard, carrying some leaves and a few leftover golden petals from the withered flowers. And there was that knocking sound in the distance again. Okay, so the knocking sound is from the rope hitting the flagpole? Nanae let out another guffaw. She loves guffawing. You okay with toast for breakfast? If you have hot coffee to go with it. Of course we do, I'll prepare it right away. Are you not going to explain what that flagpole is? Okay, this is very different from what I imagined. This looks like a very fancy cafe. The pleasant smell of baking bread filled the room. It reminded me of the bakery near my house when I was little. I used to buy bread from them every morning. The entrance had a huge pink sign in the shape of a rabbit. I held the tray, a pair of tongs, and some money. The fragrant scent of baking bread, the sweet aroma of fresh confectionery, butter, and jam would completely overwhelm me. Who's running this when you're getting no customers? After a few moments of hesitation, I would always pick melon bread and sausage rolls. Good choice, good choice. Sometimes I'd run into Takako. What? Huh? You mean you're talking about the bakery near your house when you were little? Okay. She often bought the rabbit bread, which came in the same shape. She often bought the rabbit bread, which came in the same shape as the sign above the entrance. What was the name of that bakery again? You like your eggs fully fried, or? Nanny's words pulled me back to reality. The cafeteria at the end of the corridor, and to the left from the lobby. To the left from the lobby, which means it would be not in the wing that Takako was at, right? Had a room shaped like a fan, with several windows in its arched walls. There was also a bar counter by one of the walls. Nano had been preparing breakfast behind it. I'll have whatever you recommend. I'm not picky about food. Alright, then I'll do yours like my own, fully fried. A warm-colored sofa and the dim lighting in the room gave the cafeteria a vintage feel that you'd have found in many coffee shops a decade ago. It reminded me of the cafe I used to frequent. Through the window, I could see the leaves of the tree in the courtyard. I'll go with almost fully fried. Okay. A sizzling sound reminiscent of heavy applause followed, accompanied by the appetizing smell of frying bacon spreading across the room. I watched the apron-clad Nane do her work behind the counter. After confirming the temperature of the frying pan, she picked up 2 eggs from her bowl, broke them open with one hand, and dropped both into the pan. I heard another applause. Here you go. She placed the coffee pot she held in her left hand and the basket of bread she held in her right on the leather-covered table. After that, she slid the 2 plates she held under one arm to her free hands and nimbly lined them on the table before sitting down in front of me. What is this, gymnastics? You're pretty good with your hands. You just have to figure out how the center of mass works. Anyone can do it with a bit of training. Would you like more coffee? Yes, please. As I waited, she refilled the cup I had emptied with a fresh serving of steaming coffee and placed it in front of me. Well then, let's eat. Yes. The toast was just a bright hue of golden brown. She was good at this. Using my knife, I scooped up some butter from the jar Nane handed me, savoring its alluring fragrance. After spreading the butter on her toast, Nane placed some cabbages, some bacon, and a fried egg on it. Once she was done, she began nibbling away at the bread. I'm hungry now. It didn't turn out too bad. She said that with her eyes closed while confirming the taste. The wet cabbages sparkled in the light. I placed only a piece of fried egg on mine before taking a bite. My teeth penetrated the crunchy outer layer and reached the soft, warm insides. It was only lightly toasted, but it felt just right. She was definitely good at this. I stopped to finish cleaning the room, so would it be okay if I showed you the place this evening? Said Nane after taking a sip of her coffee. Sure. It's been a while since we had such clear weather. I want to hang the laundry outside before it's too late. After letting out a sigh, Nane leaned against her chair and stretched her neck. I glanced outside the window to see a girl walking on the stone pad in the courtyard. Did you see someone there? Nane noticed my gaze as she opened her eyes. Yes. I bet it's the library. Huh? There's a library building just next to ours. The books there are pretty old, but it's a big place and has quite a selection, as long as you don't want anything modern. If you like reading, you should check it out. Do you have any plans until the evening? Not really. I see. I felt the sweet smell grow more distinguishable as I continued down the stone path. I made out the edge road Nane told me about right away. It extended further along the path up until it disappeared beyond the west wing of the mansion. Okay, sorry. For some reason I thought that the wings were north and south, but they're east and west. Okay. Okay, and I'm almost certain that Takako was in the east wing. I continued down the path covered by golden petals until I saw a brown roof beyond the edge. 2 large wooden doors barred the entrance to the library. It's the same library. Are you gonna see, Sanae here? I slowly pushed one of them open, making its rusty hinges creak in response. Dust filled my nostrils as the sunlight making its way into the room through the partially open door painted a rectangular patch of light on the library's floor. The spacious, cylinder-like room had bookcases lining its walls. It had a small staircase on the other end leading to an alcove with a huge window that circled around the entire building. The dome-shaped ceiling had a circular window and oculus in the middle that let slightly more light into the otherwise relatively dim interior. The door closed as I pulled my hand off it, isolating all sounds from the outside and giving way for white noise. The middle-aged woman at the... Middle-aged woman, huh? The middle-aged woman at the counter turned her gaze to me. Hang on. Okay, that wasn't Sanae, right? That she had red hair. That looked like Narasaki. Huh. Man, I wish I could have her on screen, but we just got like a quick glimpse at her. I gave her a small nod. She smiled back at me in response before returning to her work. Click, click. The clicking of my shoes was the only sound bouncing off the round walls of the interior. For some reason, it felt somewhat slow to my ears. The bookcases in the center of the hall resembled the giant stone tablets of some ancient ruin. He's obviously going to come back later because she had the sprite, but... The light seeping in from the ceiling illuminated a few of them, making the grains of dust in the vicinity sparkle in silver. I tried opening one of the books, but it was from a publisher I never heard of. I ultimately gave up on trying to find something interesting, and instead chose to find a comfortable place where I could read the books I brought myself. After passing a few more bookcases, I found a somewhat bigger space with a few desks and some chairs for reading. Some books and a whole heap of notes rested on one of the desks. Oh, hello. You're getting a bunch of new characters. Beyond the desk, I spotted a girl on the stepladder, looking at one of the shelves. With candy-colored blue hair. I found a one-person desk next to the window. This is where Sanae was sitting. I sat down and took out some of my books. After removing my silver bookmark, I began scanning the text from the right. The girl I spotted earlier returned to her desk as I was turning a page. I was trying to read what was on her paper, but I think it's just nonsense. Like, I don't think it says anything. Because... No, I can't read it. I don't think it says anything. She placed a small tower of books she'd been carrying on the desk, then pulled out her chair. She's carrying 4 books, what do you mean? Her long hair fluttered in the wind as she sat down. Her long blue hair. Without so much as giving me a single glance, the girl opened a large book and placed it in front of herself, hiding her entire frame from view. I returned my attention to my own book. I had to flip a few pages back to find the line where I left off. The fluorescent lamps on the walls illuminated the page. By the time I closed the book, the inside of the building had gotten dark, with only barely noticeable slivers of orange light coming from the ceiling window. The girl was still at her desk, jotting something down in her notebook. I pulled out my sleeve and checked my watch. I stood up, pushed the chair back into its place, and left the library. The woman at the counter was nowhere to be seen anymore. I pulled one of the doors open with another loud creak and had a gust of wind blow straight into my face, propelling the sedentary dust of the room into the air. The west wing of the mansion was right in front of the library. Branches of the courtyard's large oak peeked out from behind the building. The entire scenery wore an orange tint. I spotted someone walking down the corridor inside the mansion. The silhouette of a woman with tied up hair turned the corner and disappeared from sight. A woman with tied up hair. I was walking along the edge row with my eyes fixed on the window when I heard voices from the courtyard. He's not that young anymore. How old was she again? Her 51st birthday was last month. People in the Showa period retired around that age. Okay, so we're not in the Showa period. And the Showa period ended in 1989. So we're past 1998, 1989 at least. Nana and a man wearing blue work clothes were talking in front of the back door. Lightly touching the brim of his hat, the man made a small bow to Nana before turning around to leave. Who are they talking about? Nanae noticed me and turned the handle to close the half-open door. Oh, hello, Sachiko. What was that? I was just paying attention for the gas. Oh, why did I add paying attention? I was just paying for the gas. What were you talking about? Nothing, just some local gossip. I was just about to go to your room. We promised to have a walk together. I hope you didn't forget. What about your duties? I've already finished all there was to do, and my guess is that you've been to the library. Yeah, I'm glad you found a place to relax. She cocked her head and gave me a light smile. Can I come like this? Of course. Good. Then let's go over there first. Turning away from the mansion, Nanae started towards the other end of the courtyard. After taking a few more steps, she glanced behind her shoulder with a smile, checking to see if I was following her. We continued down the path stretching beyond the library and all the way to the forest and the mountains. Look, it's a camellia! Following Nanae's fingers, my gaze fell upon a host of pink flowers blooming in the nearby thicket. Nanae stretched on her tiptoes to reach one of the branches. I'll take one. She twisted her hand, breaking off a branch with 2 flowers on it. After giving it the scrutinizing look, she showed it to me. I was thinking of putting these up at the entrance. What do you think? I see, so these flowers were locally picked. Well, gotta take advantage of the fact that we live so close to nature. It does make more civilized things like shopping a bit of a pain, though. She hugged the branch to her chest. Don't you find winter bloomers somewhat more refined? Nanae's question came out of nowhere. After some brief consideration, I agreed with her. That might be true, yeah, especially compared to the flowers that always predictably bloom in the summer. I know, right? Winter takes its toll on all living things, but if you look around, there are still flowers blooming even in conditions like that. It makes me respect nature all the more. Oh, I'm seeing some Japanese camellia blooming over there. Then I looked towards the other side of the stream by the road. A few red camellia petals were drifting along in the water. I also spotted some blue gentiana flowers blooming in the shrubbery. There's a lake further down this way. Let's go. We passed through a dark thicket and came out onto an opening with a lake. The image of the mountain crowned by greenery was reflected upside down on its crystal clear surface. Upon descending the path running somewhat above the lake's surface, we came onto what seemed like an animal trail. The water of the lake was clear enough for me to see down to the bottom. The surface was calm, with only the odd breeze disturbing its stillness from time to time. I can't see them today. And I was looking towards the lake with one hand above her eyes to block out the sun. Following her gaze, I saw a row of ducks sailing on the water. We were looking for a bird? Yeah, I spotted some unusual one just the other day. She pointed at the water with her other hand. You can see those ducks by the reeds, right? Yes. Those are mainly Eurasian widgeons with a few Eurasian coots mixed in. The ones with the brown heads are widgeons, the black ones are coots. I can also see a couple with white spots on their beaks. Those are coots. I see. Cool. Every bird that quacked or squeaked in the background, Nanae named. The same one for each unique type of grass or bush we passed. Is it okay if we make a little detour? Asked Nanae around the time we reached the middle portion of the path by the lake. It gets slippery here, so be careful. The narrow path stretching out to the side had barely half the width of the beaten path we were using. The steps leading up the hill were basically just a bunch of moss-covered rocks aligned in a row. It won't take long. The place I want to reach is just up these steps. Nanae took a step up the rocks and stretched out her free hand towards me. As I took a hold of it, Nanae easily pulled me up in a surprising display of strength. The sound of running water intensified as we climbed upwards. Oh. Hey! Nanae, who reached the top ahead of me, started waving to someone. Oh, it's Nanae. I came to see how you were doing. Nanae let out a hearty laugh. She then gave me her hand again, pulling me to the top as well. Oh, it's the kids who went fishing. The moment I stepped on even ground, I realized the sound I'd been hearing belonged to a waterfall. I could smell splashing water. The path led us to a human-sized rock rising above the bank of the waterfall. Human-sized rock. Below us, 2 boys with fishing rods were staring at the water. Weren't you only worried about the fish? Look, Nanae. I heard the second voice from the opposite end of the river. A third boy sees a rope dangling from one of the trees, and after taking a few steps back, swung across the river. Ah! He sounded that was supposed to be like a heroic scream. He sounded a Tarzan-like howl and painted a wide arc in the air before landing on another decently sized rock further away from us. The rope and the tree branches was attached to creaked under his weight. He let go of the rope and began energetically waving at us. Hey, I don't want to see you ever do that again. What if you fall and break your neck? Eh? The boy pressed his fingers against his cheeks in an attempt to mimic the exaggerated expression of a certain monk painting? What? He's trying to do the scream? Okay. I thought you came here to fish. Whoa. I knew you only came here for the fish. Don't worry, I love you all just right next to the fish. What? I thought you came here to fish. Whoa? I knew you only came here for the fish. Don't worry, I love you all just right next to the fish. What? I don't understand at all what this dialogue is saying. Don't worry, I love you all just right next to the fish. I don't get it. Now I laugh as she descended the little path from the rocks. So did you catch anything? Huh? Don't you guys feel colder all of a sudden? Said one of the boys at the bank with a smile. Yeah, I think it's about time we started packing up, replied the boy that crossed the river. Let's see. Finishing her descent, Nana crouched in front of the fish basket. Oh, you've got some chars. 4, 5, 6. Don't say it. Okay, she didn't say it. Ah, this one's pretty big. Hey, that one is mine, said one of the boys, wiping his wet hair with a handkerchief. Who's that lady, Nana? A new friend? She's our guest. Hello. Hello. The boy who previously asked where I was met my modest greeting with a deep bow. The other two boys with fishing rods also bowed. Make sure there's something for me and my guest, okay? You can have this. The boy pointed at the biggest fish in the basket. For me? Thank you. Oh, what about me? You can have this. He pointed at the smallest fish. I have no idea what's going on. You've got some guts, kid. New song. Make sure to head straight home. We know. The boys disappeared behind the corner. Well then, I think it's time for us to head back as well. With that, she turned towards the direction of the mansion. We took a road along the mountain on our way back. Then they carried a bundle of winter flowers under one arm while holding the basket of fish we received from the children. I was planning to just casually show you around, but I guess I ended up forcing all this extra legwork on you. Sorry about that. When I looked my way, I shook my head in response. It was fun. Glad to hear it. I see you like children. And I considered the mountain slope for a moment. I do. Besides, it's more dangerous around here than you'd think. Still, I wouldn't go so far as to forbid the kids from playing in the mountains. I know the parents of all the children that come here, so I can't help getting worried every time a group is late to return. I mean, yeah, they're fucking playing in the forest in the mountains. Nana slightly raised her chin and narrowed her eyes. The part of the sky she gazed at still had some faint remnants of light blue. The moon above was full and shone with bright, dazzling silver. I could hear the sound of splashing water near the rocks below us. The river, too, is clear enough to see through. The rocks resting at the bottom sparkled in the moonlight. From time to time, a fish with black spots would swim by as well. Look, Halcyon. A colorful bird flew along the calm stream. The feathers on its back glittered in blue, even in this lighting. You just know, like, every fucking type of fish and every type of bird and every type of tree on this mountain? Or, like every time we see something, you just instantly know its name. I wonder if it's trying to catch a fish. I think so. They tend to line on the branches above the water, and once a fish passes by, they instantly make a move on it. When there are no conveniently placed branches, they just hover above the surface. They're well known for the incredible ability to track down and catch fish. I see. This one seems to be really good at its job, but just look at how steady its flight is. Sometimes you can see them having trouble matching the flow of the river. Jerking back and forth, I imagine they eventually learned how to do it correctly by watching their parents or siblings. Shortly after the Alcyon abruptly disappeared from view, I heard a splash of water, and a moment later, it had already landed on a branch with a fish in its beak. Oh wow, we were lucky to see that. Indeed. The trees littering the mountain slope on the other side of the river had crowns the color of autumn. The sky above them had now turned completely dark. Yeah, let's grill this fish when we get back. We can make sashimi out of the big one, but most river fish go better with salt, said Nana after a long period of silence. You're the boss. What? Your energy and easygoing attitude reminded me of someone. Oh, how so? She was an oddball too. Hey, you call me an oddball? Nana raised her arms and shrugged her shoulders, seemingly trying to confirm her own appearance. I couldn't help but chuckle. She answered me with a mischievous smile. Dinner's gonna be ready in a heartbeat. I'll drop by your room once it's done. Alright. A whole bunch of plates lined the table in her cabin today. A red plate with thinly sliced ham. A basket with bite-sized pieces of French bread. Steam billowed from the yellow cazuela plate. It was filled with sauteed eggplants, tomatoes, carrots, and had a soft boiled egg for topping. The plant with lamb steak had a garnish of fried potatoes and cabbage. In the middle of the table rested a plate packed with chicken paella. And finally, at the side, I spotted the salt grilled char we received earlier today. I was going for a somewhat Spanish dinner tonight. Nanae pulled my chair back, gesturing for me to sit down. On my side of the table, there was silver tableware and a neatly folded napkin adorned with a checkered pattern, just like yesterday. Did you make everything? No, I just grilled the fish and made the paella. The rest was done by my auntie. I'm not sure if that's actually pronounced paella, or if it's like... I'm not sure how it's pronounced. Noticing the bottle of white and red wine on the table, Nanae picked them up in both hands. I told her I didn't need a whole bottle for myself. I spotted 2 other glasses at the other end of the table, one near the window, the other near the corridor. I wonder if that's for the person I saw at the counter in the library. Yep, that's her. What's her name? Nanae checked the labels on each bottle of wine and lifted both bottles. Which would you prefer? The white wine was in her right hand, the red in her left. We'll have some sparkling wine too, if that's what you like. I wasn't too particular about wine, so I ended up picking red on a whim. Nanae nodded and placed a bottle of white wine on the table. I grabbed one of the mini breads and broke it up into 2 pieces. It was still warm inside. I placed a slice of ham on it and put it in my mouth. Did your aunt say anything? Just to tell you hi. I see. I placed a few slices of ham on the other... Is the librarian your aunt? I placed a new slice of ham on the other piece before popping it into my mouth. That bread is good, isn't it? I nodded with my mouth full. We imported dough directly from Spain. What the fuck? How rich are you? It has a very fragrant smell. Auntie used to live in Spain for a while. Sometimes she gets all nostalgic about those days, and that's when I get treated to some delicious bread and ham. I see. The char is going to be delicious too. The grilled fish rested on a Japanese-style plate. Ingredients straight from the farm. I almost feel like I'm at some sort of fair. When you say farm, is it the farm that you have here that is the same farm where fucking Mayuko was getting the vegetables and selling them in the village? It beats the stuff over at the department store, that's for sure. Nanae sounded a laugh. I picked up my chopsticks and took a piece from the fish's stomach area. The tender yet crispy piece melted in my mouth. It's good. Let me check. Nanae took a piece of the white flesh for herself and put it in her mouth. She slowly chewed it for a few seconds before gulping it down. Hot as hell, but pretty nicely done otherwise. Do you happen to have a sensitive tongue? I wouldn't go that far. Nanae let out another laugh. Her smile seemed a little wooden. I've got to make sure they know I'm grateful for the gift. Yeah, I'll thank the kids the next time I run into them. I saw something interesting too. You're actually a closet sadist, aren't you, Sachiko? I'd like to thank your aunt for the delicious meal. What? Sachiko says, I've got to make sure they know I'm grateful for the gift. Nanae says, yeah, I'll thank the kids the next time I run into them. Sachiko says, I saw something interesting too. Nanae says, you're actually a closet sadist, aren't you, Sachiko? What? Again, I'm not following the dialogue at all. Like, I don't understand what they're implying or what they're trying to say here. In what way, why is she a closet sadist? What? I'd like to thank your aunt for the delicious meal. Oh, she'd definitely love that. But I think she's already gone to bed, so maybe do it some other day. Keep wandering around the place and you'll eventually run into her, I'm sure. I crumpled down into the chair, heaving a tired breath. A woman with long, dark hair gazed back at me from the mirror with jet black eyes. Jet black eyes? What do you mean jet black eyes? Your eyes aren't black. They're like amber or something? Like brown or... Definitely not black. I mean, I guess your pupil is black, but everyone's is. Her cheeks were flushed red, her eyelids heavy from drowsiness. The woman's dark flowing locks fell into the white towel resting on her shoulders. Maybe I should cut it shorter. The night breeze lightly stirred the curtains, sending a drop of water from my hair to my exposed tie. Okay, so Mayuko is Sachiko? Question mark? Sorry, I just thought of that because of what she just said about maybe I should cut it shorter. And I remembered that Maiko looked extremely identical to Sachiko. And now that I'm looking at them side by side, they look like one-to-one. Like the hair color and the eye color is also like exactly the same. And Sachiko just made the comment about maybe I should cut it shorter. So... are they the same person? The night breeze lightly stirred the curtain, sending a drop of water from my hair to my exposed eye. I reached out to pick up a comb. Comb? I actually don't know. Comb. Okay. Man, I love English. After lightly dipping the comb in the water with a few drops of flour or oil added to it, I began combing my hair. A chilly breeze kept blowing inside through the open window. I could hear the knocking sound in the distance. Takako had a habit of curling my hair around her fingers to smell it. It was a motion similar to kissing the hand of a princess. Both the tortoise shell comb and this camellia oil were presents from her. She might have disappeared, but parts of her seemed to remain with me. The woman in the mirror made a puzzled expression. Look at that face. I turned off the hairdryer and placed it on the dresser. I stood up, took my pajamas out of the carrier bag, and got dressed. After circling around the bed and opening the cabinet, I found a light pink insect repellent tape in an otherwise empty drawer. A light pink insect repellent tape? What is insect repellent tape? Once I emptied the contents of my carrier bag onto the bed, I folded up my spare clothes and stuffed them inside the closet. As for my toiletries, I left them on the nightstand and in the bathroom. I returned to the lighter carrier bag to the ground, and with nothing else to do, sat down in the bed. Knock knock. The knocking sound I heard earlier did not melt into the night sky. Instead, it seemed to have been reverberating in a narrow space. I looked at the window to see curtains folding calmly beside it. The pale moon hung motionless in the dark sky. Knock knock. I turned the knob adorned with a chrysanthemum carving and stepped outside. The branches of the oak tree cast dark twisting patterns on the floor through the window. Click. Oh, hello, Takako. Click. To my right, I spotted a girl that resembled Takako descending the stairs. I began following her, eventually breaking into a dash. Even knowing my loud footsteps could wake someone, I still wouldn't stop. I only halted up after circling down the spiral stairs that led to the lobby. Upon quickly surveilling the area, I realized there was no one else around. Out of nowhere, I could have sworn I heard the front door close. I hurried to the door and turned the knob and stepped outside. The lack of streetlights made it difficult to see. Oh, hello there, Sachiko. Startled, I turned towards the source of the abrupt voice and saw a person's silhouette emerge from the darkness. Oh, hello, Narasaki. What are you doing here? It was Narasaki. The corners of her lips curled as she drew closer to the light. You ran all the way here just to greet me? I'm flattered. Narasaki? I looked her over from head to feet. Seriously though, what are you doing here dressed like that? I was just... What about you? Why are you here? I came here for a vacation, much like you. I was actually thinking of going up to your room right about now, so your timing was impeccable. If you're not busy, can I come over for a bit? Sure. In that case, let's hurry on. I'm kind of freezing out here. Narasaki made a brief smile and entered the mansion ahead of me. What's your endgame? Narasaki removed her coat and scarf as we entered my room. She placed them on the chair in front of the mirror. Also, what do you mean I would have come to your room? How would you even know where my room is? I was actually thinking of going up to your room. How do you know that my room is up? How do you know my room isn't on the same floor, like on the ground floor? Are you fucking spying on me? What's going on? Then, as though having suddenly remembered something, she walked back to her coat and pulled a small box out of one of its pockets. She handed it to me. Oh, new Narasaki clothes. I brought you something. It was a tiny white cardboard box that easily fit into my palm. I undid the cover to find two little bears inside, both with ribbons around them. It's a very cute present. One bear was white, wearing a frilly one-piece dress, while the other was brown, dressed in an apron. Pretty nice craftsmanship there, eh? They have clips on their back and magnets on the inside. You can basically use them to attach pieces of paper to a whiteboard. So they're not just for decoration. After looking at the bear some more, I closed the lid. Thank you. I'll make sure to put them to good use in my office. I'm glad you like it. You're actually quite fond of things like this, right? I am. I don't really buy them myself. Thought so. Narasaki made a satisfied smile. I placed the box on the side table next to the bed. Are you thirsty? Yeah, do you have some hot coffee in there? Or in here? Only if you're fine with instant. I'll take what I can get. I added coffee powder to the cup and filled it with boiling water. I returned carrying 2 cups of steaming coffee, one for each of us. Thanks. I handed 1 cup to Narasaki and sat down on the side of the bed. The bed creaked under my weight, fat ass. I really should have come by train as well. I scraped the bottom of my car driving through these mountain roads. They sure weren't built with modern cars in mind, let me tell you. You came by car? Yep, I just came back from parking it at the place the lady told me about. Isn't this place, quite far from your clinic? No, actually, my clinic is right in this mansion. What do you mean? Yeah, the trip took about 5 hours, I think. 5 hours? A portion of which I must have wasted getting lost in these damn roads. Considering most of them aren't even on any maps, they were a total pain to navigate. The train brought me straight to the foot of this mountain. Well, it's been ages since I've driven my car. Nothing beats blasting loud music with your windows open as you speed through the highway. True. After drinking half her coffee in a single gulp, Narasaki once again leveled her gaze with mine. Did I surprise you? Yes. It's been a while since I could take a long vacation. Originally, I planned to spend it in Hawaii or Guam, but I couldn't get this off my mind, so... After finishing the rest of her coffee with a second gulp, she placed an empty cup on the dresser. Thank you. You're welcome. Narasaki waved her hands like it was no big deal. She then glanced towards the window, stood up, and walked closer to it. I've almost forgotten how much better you could see the stars out here in the country. Joining her thumbs and index fingers to form a pair of binoculars, Narasaki examined the sky. Are you 5 years old? How did you spend your time coming here? I've just been relaxing. How do you feel? Pretty well. That's good to hear. I think this place is somewhat similar to my childhood home. I've been remembering the past lately. Yeah, that place was out in the countryside too. I took a walk in the woods today. It's been a while since I've set foot in a real soil. It's what you get for living in a so-called concrete jungle, I suppose. It felt almost as though I was transported into a different world. Almost as though. Funny thing is, it's exactly the kind of stuff that used to be more familiar to me. Yeah, I remember the three of us spending a lot of time playing by the river. What do you mean the three of us? Sis is acting like she's part of the team. Narasaki gently narrowed her eyes. I wasn't too into it though. Well, I guess it was usually Takako who wanted to go on adventures. We've never ever seen you in any of the flashbacks that we saw of them in high school. She was the one who'd always slip and fall into the river or into a hole dug for sweet potatoes, or stumble on some random tree roots and fall face first into the ground. I remember how we always had to explain to her parents what happened. One time we even had to carry her to the hospital. Narasaki covered her mouth with one hand, unable to contain a chuckle. Her shoulders trembled for a few moments as she giggled. She then continued. You jumped through that door like you were being chased. Did you see something again? Why do you think that? Well, where I'm from, it's not exactly normal to rush out of your house in the middle of the night. I suppose you have a point. I had to come up with an excuse, but I couldn't think of anything. I saw Takako in the corridor earlier. And chased her outside? Something like that. Was it the first time you saw her around here? Yes, but I also saw her just before leaving. I told her about that episode with Takako in the bat. After giving a detailed explanation about everything I did that evening, I briefly summarized my conversation with the hallucination. Also, don't forget to mention that you apparently booked this trip and then forgot about it. Narasaki asked a few questions and I answered. She was curious if there was anything, a physical object, that could have worked as a trigger to remind me of Takako. After thinking for a while, I told her that the rubber duck might have been it. Narasaki agreed. I decided not to tell her I had somehow booked this place for my vacation without my knowledge. Okay, yeah, there we go. After all, I might have simply forgotten it because of work. Yeah, sure, and it didn't seem directly related to Takako's situation. Yeah, the fact that you forgot a huge, important part of your memory is completely unrelated to the fact that you're hallucinating someone. Completely unrelated. Narasaki let out a long as I finished my explanation. When I last visited your clinic, you said you wanted to observe my progress for a while before going anywhere further. I asked her if we should start thinking about alternate treatment methods if my symptoms failed to subside, but she shook her head. Maybe this isn't something that just goes away overnight because you regain your memories. I think we should observe it for a while longer. Okay, but has she regained her memories? We still don't know exactly how Takako is supposed to have died here. We know that she supposedly died from an illness in the tips section, but we don't know if she died from the same thing here. Narasaki made a tired expression and stretched her arms, most likely exhausted from the long trip. I looked away and tried to remember Takako from earlier today. Then I thought about the Takako I saw in the bat. Narasaki said there might have been a physical object that made me see hallucinations of her. In that earlier case, it was most likely the rubber duck in the bat, but I'd never been to this inn before, at least not with Takako. What? I'd never been to this inn before, at least not with Takako. Have you been here before without Takako? What? What are you implying? Or do you just mean like the past few days you spent here without Takako count as you being here before? Or do you mean that you've been here like in the past? Can the whole town function as a trigger? Maybe I saw her again because this place reminds me of her old home. It's possible. Or maybe it's something you brought with yourself. I thought about my luggage for a moment, but I was pretty sure I didn't bring anything that used to belong to Takako. I gave up on continuing along that train of thought. It came all this way, but I suppose things aren't going to be that easy. I've said this before, but people don't just get better overnight. The important part now is that you're physically healthy. By the way, you said you were curious about something when we last met. What was it? Before she could pry further, I reminded Narasaki of what she said the last time I visited her clinic. Narasaki pointed at the clock next to the dresser. That aside, don't you think it's gone a little late? Okay, so you're dodging the subject? Shouldn't you go to bed? I should, but then Takako came along, and now you're here. It'll be a while before I start feeling sleepy again. Narasaki's lips curled into a smile. She then made a resigned expression. She placed her right hand on her chin like a detective from an old movie. After seeing that, I glanced at the clock again and changed my mind. Well, maybe it's okay. I don't feel like I could probably think about it even if you told me right now. Narasaki placed her hand on the table. Good. I'll be here tomorrow as well. What do you mean, good? We can talk about it at any time. There's no need to rush. I glanced at the sky, finding its color somewhat peculiar. It seemed as though someone had spilled green and yellow dye onto an indigo canvas laden with stars. Only the round silver moon hung clear in the corner of the sky. I realized that Narasaki was looking at me through her finger binoculars. What? Tell me what can be seen from here. I gave her an apprehensive look, but she said it was just a little psychological test. Me? It looked as though Narasaki momentarily furrowed her brows. It was such a slight movement, I might have just imagined it though. I didn't tell you whose field of view I was talking about, but you picked mine. It seemed like you're the kind of person that puts others above herself. Okay, that seems like a big leap of logic. Thank you. I found it pretty... I don't know if that's a compliment, also. I found it pretty simplistic for a test coming from a professional. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Then again, maybe it lacks some punch precisely because it was meant for serious matters, not to be used as a party trick or as a piece of trivia in some variety show. By the way, did you meet that person you met in Italy? And I? Yes. Our conversation seemed to stop there. Realizing I was holding an empty coffee cup, I placed it on the side table. I went on a walk with her. We picked flowers and watched some children fish along the way. That must have been fun. Yes, Nane smiled a lot. I'm sure she enjoyed it. I was talking about you. My lips curled up slightly as I recalled today's walk. That's right, Nane kind of reminded me of Takako a little. Especially when I saw her talking to the children. Oh, I hope I can meet her too. As we finished discussing Nanae, Narasaki told me it was about time for her to go. She glanced at the cup in her hands. Where are you sleeping? There's no one at the reception desk. Are you just gonna take a room at random? There's still some cold coffee left in it. Listen, you don't need to rush your treatment. You need to slowly and meticulously unravel one entangled thread after another. Pulling on them with force will only make things worse. When there's a sudden and huge change in one mental landscape, a reaction will always follow, and it's rarely good for one's health. When you put a wild fish in an aquarium, they don't all adjust well initially, right? It's also common to become sick after a strenuous diet. The Industrial Revolution caused countless problems for the environment, as well as peace and order in general. The sudden growth of capitalism can lead to financial and industrial capital merging, giving birth to monopoly capitalism. What the fuck are you talking about? The scale of the example was so out there, I only ended up feeling confused. Exactly. Just shut the fuck up. Anyway, you've already fixed your memory problem the other night, and that's what counts the most right now. You don't need to rush with trying to get rid of the hallucinations. And they're ringing in my ears. Right, that too. Narasaki gave me a gentle look, seemingly trying to assure me that everything was fine. She tended to make this kind of face from time to time. They would always make me relax. I calmed down a little. Somewhere in my mind, I was hoping not to see any hallucinations here, so encountering Takako tonight must have upset me all the more as a result. I'm really glad you came. Hearing you say that has already made the trip worth it. Narasaki finished her coffee, picked up her scarf, and left. Where are you going? After putting the cups away, I lay down on the bed. Turning my head to the side, I saw the night sky through the window. The moon shone brightly in the darkness, illuminating the tree leaves and the ornamental sheep figure near the window with its silvery life. Ornamental. I closed my eyes. I felt like I was drifting along on the surface of the sea. The fresh, salty air coming in from the open window must have been the cause of it. The furniture floated in the water. Before I knew it, my consciousness melted away, and I found myself in a dream of the past. Okay, let's stop here. Okay, this was a very, very slow-paced episode until Narasaki showed up. I mean, even then, not much really happened. I mean, the whole bit with, like, going on a hiking trip and talking to the children and, like, reading a book in the library. There was a blue-haired girl, too. I forgot about her. I feel like there was a lot of very awkward dialogue this episode. Like, dialogue that I just didn't understand. I don't know if it was translated poorly or if I'm just stupid and I didn't understand, like, some kind of a joke or some kind of something, whatever they were doing with the dialogue, but there was a lot of it that was just, like, so confusing to me. Like, I had no idea what they were talking about. Other than that, yeah, I'm still really confused. I mean, I will say the fact that Mayuko and Sachiko look exactly alike is definitely very interesting. And that she made that comment about cutting her hair. But yeah, I don't know. Still don't really have any clues, to be honest. I mean, no, I have a lot of clues. I mean, like, I don't have any... I don't really have anything solid still. I guess I'll repeat what I said last time with I mean, this is so silly, but like, is the west wing of the sanatorium, I don't know, is the west wing of the building the hotel and the east wing of the building is the sanatorium and they just share the building together? Is that what's going on? But then, even then, I don't know what's going on with the tips, because the tips just seem to be disconnected from everything. I don't know, man. I don't know. Who knows at this point? Alright, I'm stopping here. See you next time.